if you started a business and it failed, or you think it failed, I should say, or you're getting ready to start a business, but you're hesitant to actually do it because you think it could fail, you're going to want to watch this whole episode, because there's actually really one thing that most people make the mistake of that causes their business not to work. And so they think they're just not good at running a business, or they think that they're not the right person, or they think that customers don't want to work with them, et cetera, et cetera. There's actually just one thing that causes all those problems. I'm going to get into that in a minute. However, there's one caveat to this. We talked about this in the last episode, where we told you the exact 4 secrets you need to know to sell absolutely anything. And we applied those exact 4 secrets this year to a business that's already generated over $1 million since, I believe we started at January, February, March, since March to now, which is September. So if you haven't seen that episode, it's very foundational, and you'll probably want to watch that episode as well. But on this episode, we're talking very specifically about the one thing that causes people to think that their business failed. And I use the word think because it's very likely your business didn't fail, with the caveat being your product, your service, whatever it is that you are selling is something that people actually want to buy. What do I mean by that? I mean, if people don't want to buy what you're selling, then that's the first problem, and that has to be addressed. But most people don't have businesses like that. Most people aren't just out selling things that people don't want to buy. They usually are doing something like starting a coffee shop, a restaurant, a bakery, selling baked goods, selling t-shirts, selling services like landscaping, construction, et cetera. Usually people are going after a market that already exists, but the thing that they're missing is what causes the business to fail, or they think it's going to fail. So let's talk about it. I've never shared this before.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. Not only from a perspective of how we can help business owners out there and those who maybe want to start a business, but even those who maybe have a business on the side. They're still working. They're not quite there yet, and they haven't given up on that business, and they don't consider it a failure yet, but they're a little discouraged.
Yeah.
They'd like to see more momentum.
Yep.
And I think what we're going to give them today and the ideas that you're going to bring out really have exponential factors. Like they can see increases relatively quick if they'll be able to get past this hurdle that I know you're going to talk about.
So be incredibly encouraged if you have a business, a side hustle, and even idea for a business that is something in which there's a demand for, meaning if you want to start a landscaping company, you can start a landscaping company and be successful. Even if there's other landscaping companies, you can still do it and be successful. There's like 20 in this small town that we live in, and they all seem to be busy. And there's a reason for that. If you're doing something that there's already an industry around it, people are already in demand for that product, it very much will succeed if you apply the principles properly. If you are wondering in your head right now, well, I actually have an idea that it's not proven, there's not really an industry around it, it's very niche and very, very specific. That doesn't mean it can't work, but it may be something where you want to do a little bit further research, and we can actually make an episode. We probably should make an episode on how to pick your first business to start. There's a whole principle I have where it's like you make these 2 columns. I'll give a quick nugget and we'll get right into this, but this is very valuable. There's these 2 columns that you make where on the left column it says it's a list of all the things you desire to do the most in life. The top might be golfing, might be swimming, might be music, might be singing, might be sports, etc. It might go down the list. So you make the column of all the things you love to do. Then you make another column. So you have column A and column B. Column B is things that people are willing to pay money for. And you just start going down, writing a list and things you already know people are willing to pay money for. and you start writing a list of things you know people are willing to pay money for that they need. Maybe it's plumbing services, electric services, HVAC, etc. And then you cross-reference your two lists, and you try to find an intersection. And sometimes people can find those things where it's like, oh, music's my number one, but no one's willing to buy my music yet. However, if you find something that maybe isn't your top item on your want to do list, but it's something you actually like and people are willing to pay for it, guess what? You find that, you create that as your first business. Instead of going after your dreams right away, like everybody recommends, start making some money off of something that you actually enjoy to some degree and people are willing to pay for. Now you've got money to fund your dream, and your dream is no longer a problem. So that's a pro tip on how to pick your business. And I think we should probably do a whole podcast episode on that, because there's a lot of mindset that goes into that as well.
Yeah, that's really good. I can very much relate to that, because most of my life I've been involved in coaching in one form or another.
Yeah.
I went to school to be an athletic coach, which, you know, you're dealing with young men, young women, and you're helping them through sports develop life skills, right? But then in the pastoral realm, I'm constantly coaching, I'm constantly counseling, I'm constantly working with people. And one day, many years ago, I was on the phone with a guy, and I was just walking him through some challenges. And he said to me, you know, you're really good at this. You ought to charge. and I hung up, and I went, whoa. And that was the beginning of my coaching business. Now I've gone on to get certification and more training, et cetera. But it was just like you said, there was a need out there, and it was something I enjoyed doing. Those two fit compatibly together, and here I am today.
Yep. And when they intersect, they might, you know, with any business, it's not going to start replacing your income right away, but you can start working towards that.
Absolutely.
And then eventually one day it will, which is
Absolutely.
incredible. So today we're talking about the one thing. I know we just gave you that information. I just gave you, it will absolutely change your life. It's so powerful. It's taken us years to develop and learn and comprehend that. But today we're talking about the one thing you need to do to take a business that you thought failed or think might fail and actually turn it into a business that will succeed, guaranteed.
Yeah, I like that. I think a good place for us to start with it is the mindset. And I love what you said, and you've probably said it 5 times already. You may think you failed, and you haven't.
Yes.
And failure is a state of mind.
That is what the whole episode is based upon. You think it failed, or you think it might, but it didn't, and it won't if you know how to make it not.
And you've probably had this experience too. I know I have. Your business seems to plateau, or even maybe go down a little bit, and all of a sudden, new knowledge invigorates you and invigorates the business. It's all about new knowledge. And so a new piece of knowledge
That's so good.
can take something that you're thinking, well, I'm not sure about this. And all of a sudden you get a surge in that right direction, and it motivates you to continue to look for more. And I think we're going to give them that piece of information that could dramatically change the way they view their business and the outcome of their business.
This will.
Yes.
This will do exactly that.
Yes.
Guaranteed. So let's do it. Let's get into it. So the one thing that stops so many businesses from moving forward is marketing. And before you say, oh man, he's going to talk to me about marketing strategies, he's going to tell me I need to post on Facebook more, and I already tried that and it didn't work, and I'm not going to tell you how to market. Today we're talking about the mindset around marketing and what it actually is versus what you thought it was, because it's not what you think it is, and it's not what people tell you it is. Most people don't understand this concept, but the companies that just seem to grow without even trying, it's because they really pretty much do grow without trying, and it's because they know this secret. And the secret is that, I'm going to write it down on my iPad here. Marketing is not, underline, an expense. marketing is not an expense. Most people do not understand this concept. They might even think they understand this concept, but they don't actually understand it, because if they did, they would apply things much differently to their marketing strategies. We run a marketing agency, and we actually, our only mission, the only thing we do, our mission statement is we help people sell stuff, because that's our only goal. We don't try to get impressions. We don't try to get views. We don't try to get likes. We don't try to get clicks. We don't try to get reach. We don't try to get anything except sales.
Mm-hmm.
We help people sell stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We call ourselves a marketing agency because that's what people are looking for when they're looking for the things that we offer. But we're really a selling agency, because we help you sell stuff. And that's what marketing is supposed to be. Marketing is supposed to be your plan to take your product to the market to buy it, not just to get views. That's what marketing is supposed to be, but it's turned into this, well, yeah, I'm just looking for, reach. I'm just looking for brand recognition. I'm just looking for brand awareness. None of that is that's all like just fluff, because what you're really looking for is sales. At the end of the day, everyone's just looking for sales. And those things can help with sales, but they can also hurt your sales if you're implementing them wrong. So what we're talking about today is this concept and this mindset of marketing is not an expense. So if it's not an expense, that means you don't need to spend any money on it, right? No. Well, yes, actually, you should not spend any money on marketing at all. You should never, ever, ever spend a dime on marketing. You're like, Joey, what do you mean by that? How are you in business if you run a marketing agency? Because the key word is, and I'm going to write this down too, the key word is spend. You should never, ever spend a dime on marketing, because spending infers that once the money leaves your hands, it's gone forever. What you should do is you should invest in your marketing, because what the word invest implies, that's not how you spell invest. 1 second here. Invest, I said inventist. Inventing can help you make money too, but investing implies that once the money leaves your hands, it's going to work for you, get some more money, and come back to you in greater quantity.
Yeah, I like that. And I know, we were talking before the podcast began, and you're going to share some numbers with us and what that looks like. And it really kind of grabbed my attention, because I also believe this, and I know you're going to cover this, so I'll just set you up. Nice little segue.
Yep.
I think my problem, I'm just going to speak for myself. I think my problem is I didn't know this at the beginning.
Most people don't.
And it's almost like when you first start a business, you say, well, I don't have any money, or I have a limited amount of money. But with what you're going to share with our viewers about the percentage and whatnot, if I went back, I'd do it differently. And I would automatically go, okay, here's my percentage of investment into marketing.
Yep.
And even if that's very low, because your income is very low, it's like what we talked about, how to plan for retirement.
Yep.
The earlier you start and putting that money away, the greater the investment and the
greater the return.
Compound interest
Absolutely
starts to kick in, right? So
what Rich just said is so paramount to this concept of investing versus spending. And actually, I don't have the data to prove it, but I believe very strongly that the reason an average business takes the time it takes, a lot of businesses can take 1 to 2 to 3 years before they become profitable. My thought on why a lot of small businesses take such an extended period of time to become profitable is because they learn this too late. And it's not that it actually took them 2 years to become profitable. It took them 2 years to learn this concept. And then once they learned the concept, they became profitable instantly. And you can become profitable pretty darn quickly if you understand how to manage your marketing investment, which is exactly what we're going to talk about today. And I'm going to give you exact numbers as well, not just leave you hanging with, invest some money. Well, how much money should I invest?
Mm-hmm.
Great question.
Yeah.
What you just brought up.
Yeah.
How much money should I invest in my marketing? Rule of thumb, you should be willing to spend 20% of whatever amount of money you want to generate in gross revenue, not in profit, in gross revenue. Gross revenue is just simply just the total amount of money you would make. So if you sold shoes at a shoe store and the shoes sold for $100, your gross revenue would be $100. Your profit is not $100 because you had marketing costs, employee costs, etc. But your gross revenue is $100. So this concept of 20% of gross revenue for a rule of thumb, obviously you want it to be as low as possible. If it's 5%, amazing. If it's 10%, amazing. If it's 15%, amazing. 20% is a great rule of thumb. And in most industries, it can yield you a profitable, scalable business if you don't exceed 20%. Anything above 20%, it oftentimes starts eating into your profit margin in most industries, and then it's not actually scalable and you're not actually making any money, which is where the investment can go sideways. There are certain industries where the profit margins are insanely high and you can spend more than 20% for marketing, but 20% is a great rule of thumb. So what does that mean exactly?
Yeah. So I'm gonna throw a question out for you.
Please.
Because I'm thinking about something. All right. So you said something that I had not heard in our earlier conversation, and you said investing 20% into the gross revenue that you want,
That you desire.
That's different than 20% of what you have.
It's
Did you catch that?
That's exactly it. You got it. That's exactly it. And that is the exact reverse of what most people do.
That's going to take some courage.
Yeah.
Maybe faith.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It is.
Right?
It is. And it's not like...
And I'm sure you have to be realistic with that.
It actually forces you to be realistic.
Well, it does. But here's my point. If my side hustle, if somebody's side hustle is bringing in 10,000, your rule of thumb would be that 20% in 2,000 investing into marketing. But what if that person is saying, I actually want to bring in 50?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, if they take, which would be, what's 20% of 50,000, but
10,000, right? Because 5 times 2, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now they literally would have an option of saying, I'm going to invest all of my profit right now into marketing.
That is how the biggest companies scale so rapidly, as they take everything and put it back in.
So if you
don't have to do that, by the way. We're not even recommending it, but that's how Amazon grew.
No, I get it. And Amazon's like, right?
Yeah.
But I'm talking about what if your business, and if you have a side hustle, maybe you might not need that money to live off of.
Yep.
So you could actually do that.
You could.
To exponentially grow your business faster. Would you agree with that?
Much faster.
Okay.
That's exactly right.
That's what I wanted to bring out, because I do understand I'm going to invest 20% of my profit into marketing. But when you said what you desire, it went off. It hit in me, because I'm a what do I desire type guy.
It is. And what you just came to the conclusion of, is if you walk away with that same conclusion, and I'm going to spend my time communicating this as clearly as I possibly can, so you walk away with that exact revelation, because that is exactly what will change your life. So you're probably thinking in your head right now, well, if you've run a business before, you're like, well, I don't believe this guy, because I actually ran a business before. I'm currently running a business. I've never spent a dime in marketing, and I'm actually making really good money. Or I made some money without spending any money on marketing. I just grew and I didn't need to spend money on marketing. So that can be true.
Mm-hmm.
To some degree, you can grow your business via word of mouth. And that would be people who know you who you've built a strong reputation with already, they don't need you to market to them by spending money to communicate your reputation to them because they already know you. So they're going to buy from you. And then those people are going to tell other people about you and they're going to buy from you. And that can actually build your business. And most people build businesses like that, and then they hit a wall and they can't go any further because their reach has ended and they can't control where their new customers are coming from. So what we're talking about today is the scalable version of that business, not just gaining customers via word of mouth. If you want to scale unlimitedly at your own will, this is what we're talking about. If you're saying, I want to make $100,000 next year, you cannot predict doing that just by relying on word of mouth customers, but you can do it by relying on this method. And that's where the difference is. So yes, you can make money without spending money on marketing, but you can't predict it. You can't control it. This is far more controllable, far more predictable. Obviously, nothing is 100% predictable because anything could happen at any moment. But this is the method that all major companies utilize to scale and controllably scale. This is how you can set a goal and actually hit it. Most people reverse this and they look at their marketing as an expense. So they treat it like an expense and they say, I want to earn, let's just say they want to make $100,000. And they say, my goal is to make $100,000. And then they separately, without even thinking about how to get to that, they just say that's their goal. Like, I want to make $100,000 this year. And their reason is usually so that I can replace my income or I can make $100,000.
Right.
That's their reason. And then they say, okay, well, I might need to do some marketing to get the word out there. And then they have a completely separate session where they are trying to figure out how much to spend on marketing. And they're completely not even thinking about the $100,000 they want to make. It's a completely separate session where they're like, what should we spend on marketing? Then they Google, what's a good amount to spend on marketing? And then you'll get these articles that are like $50 a day, $30 a day, $15 a day, $10 a day, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I've never seen this out in public. I've never been able to find this information on a Google search or a YouTube video where it's this clear. But most people will say, sweet, okay, well, I think I could afford, I think I could afford $10 a day. And they go, sweet, let's do $10 a day. And they say, I think I could afford $10 a day. So that's what I'm going to do for my marketing. And my goal is to make $100,000.
And that mentality is spending.
That mentality is spending because
spending mentality.
They think they're $10 because they're saying I could afford to spend.
What if you invest?
What is $10 a day?
Can I just roll with this for a second?
Go for it. 10 times 30.
What if somebody decided I'm going to invest 100% of my side hustle back into marketing? I mean, just had the risk factor. It was like, I could see this.
There's a 25-year-old kid.
Years and years and years and years and years to get to a certain point, right? But what if you just said, I don't necessarily have to have this money right now. I'm going to invest it 100% to see what could happen.
There's a kid named Jimmy Donaldson who did that. He also goes by the name Mr. Beast. He's 25.
Come on.
And he did this and still does it. He says they're basically broke all the time. His company is always out of money because he spends all of it reinvesting. So how is his company almost always out of money, yet his candy bars are on the premier shelf above Hershey's in every single Walmart in the world? Like,
and he's
a billionaire.
Right on the borderline of broke.
He's always out of money, but he's a billionaire.
Yeah.
Because of his assets, because of what he's buying and building. And that's because he understands this concept. And he talks about this. This isn't even, this is public knowledge. He talks about this all the time where he's like, we just kept putting back everything. He's like, if an advertiser paid me $10 million to do a video, I'm spending $10 million making the video so the video can go as crazy as possible so people can see it. Now he's like, now I'm out of money again though. But it keeps compounding.
Yeah, and what's cool about your own business, or like Mr. Beast, I mean, that's just ridiculously
He started
crazy.
He started
right?
with $10,000. He got his first sponsorship. Somebody gave him $10,000 to sponsor his video, and his first video, that video that they sponsored, was where he gave, I believe, the video was, I'm giving $10,000 to a homeless man. So he took all the money and gave $10,000 to a homeless man, and that video went crazy viral. And then he got more money because of the viewership, and then the next amount of money he got for his sponsorship was higher, and then he did a video that was like, I bought an entire car lot and I'm giving every car away for free. And he spent all his money again, and then just boom, 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 boom. Yeah.
And so I'm going to go back to mindset.
Yeah.
Because not everybody has an entrepreneur mindset. But if you do, there has to be something there that you're willing to live a little risky on, right? Mm-hmm. And what I see in my generation, especially, is what's gold to my generation, I believe, is one of the biggest lies. I'm not even going to call it a misconception. And my generation is sold out to security.
Yes.
I want security. And with security holds on. Security stockpiles that money, hopefully no one does this, into the bank, because you'll lose money.
Most people do.
Or, some type of 401ks, et cetera, right? But I had this idea for the young entrepreneurs that believe in themselves. And everybody's looking for somebody to believe in you.
Yep.
But if you don't believe in yourself, and one of the ways you can believe in yourself is by investing your money into you.
Into you. So
it's not spending on your business.
Not.
It's like, I'm investing into me because I believe in what I'm doing.
You believe in what you're doing.
Whew.
Yep. That's
powerful. A whole different mindset.
And it's more fun. It's more exciting, and you have way more control. If you put money in the stock market, you're literally trusting some other CEO to run his business well to get you a return. But if you're investing in you, you actually can control your own business. So if something needs to change in your business to help it become more profitable, you can make that decision.
And I think there's a shift in, I don't have the data on this, but there's got to be a shift, especially with your generation and even younger. Hopefully the younger generation is not just buying into the age-old lie, just go get a job, get your education, go into debt of $500,000, and then spend the rest of your life in debt and getting out of debt. And America's like quadzillion dollars into debt. But hopefully there's a generation coming up that believes enough in themselves.
I think there is. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing it a lot.
That, like you said, they're not giving their money to pay somebody else to try to invest it, to make money for them. And that's not always bad. There's a lot of good in certain investments. But how much of your dollars are you investing into you and your dreams? And that's what hits me as a coach. Because I deal with a lot of people like rich to wealthy, who money is not that big of an issue. Their life is miserable. They're unhappy. And oftentimes they still don't feel that what they have makes them secure. It's crazy, right?
Because you keep inflating the lifestyle. But anyway, back to the principle of marketing not being an expense, being an investment. Back to what we were talking about there is, if you're trying to make $100,000, I'll circle this here. If you're trying to make $100,000 and you determined that you wanted to make $100,000 just kind of because that sounded like a good number, and then you determined you can afford $10 a day with what you currently have or make from your other job, but you never connected these two together, you are actually only going to end up spending $3,600 a year. And the $3,600 a year, when you do the math.
I was going to Yeah. While you're doing that,
Divided by-
how exact do you think that science is right there?
I've seen it across the board over probably getting close to $100 million spent in advertising. So I've managed and worked with companies in which we've made campaigns over the last 5 years that have spent upwards of $100 million plus potentially in advertising, and we see this rule work. So I'm not just teaching you from like, oh, I
Right.
read a book, I went to college.
Right.
I'm like, no, we look at this data every day, and
Yeah.
we work by this data every day, and we scale companies by this data every day. So it's real. It's not like hypothetical, taught out of a book, old. It's happening right now. Basically, somebody that spends $3,600 a year, $3,600 is 20% of 18,000.
Okay.
So if you spend $3,600 a year and you make 18,000, you might say, I totally failed. You might say, my goal was 100K and all I made was 18,000 measly dollars this year. I failed. I can never quit my job. I have no idea what I'm doing. I would tell you, you friggin' crushed it because you had a 5-to-1 ROI on your input.
Ah.
Your
wow.
input was just too low
Wow.
because you never connected the dots. This is where most people are.
Wow. Yeah.
And you do have to know.
That's where I was.
You do have to know what type of marketing strategies work because
Sure.
you can waste money. You can waste money, but there's so much good information out there on how to properly market your business that if you're doing it to some level and some degree wisely, you're going to make some kind of return.
Yeah.
So you do have to know what you're doing. And if you're like, Joey, please make an episode.
I know somebody who knows.
Well, we just did a whole episode teaching you the exact 4
Exactly.
secrets on how to do that part. So if you're missing that part, which a lot of people don't know that as well, which I get, but if you're missing that part, there's so many resources. We have an episode, just the episode that launched right before this one, where we teach you exactly the 4 secrets to sell anything and how to generate leads, how to set those leads and turn them into appointments, how to turn those appointments into sales, and how to turn those sales into maximized customers, maximized sales. Watch that video and then watch this one again and maybe keep watching them.
I got another question that I
Yeah.
think might be out there.
Let's do it.
Oftentimes, when you're in business, when you try things and they don't work immediately, you get discouraged.
Yep.
Is there a maturation period? Is there a time in marketing that you have to go through to see if it's working?
That's a good question. The answer to the question is not as linear maybe as I would like to answer it with, but you're basically asking, is there always going to be a period where you're testing something out before you know if it's even a good thing to work on, essentially? Or maybe I'm misunderstanding.
Yeah, I think that's close because just like, you start to market in the first week, it doesn't produce what you're thinking.
Okay. I know
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So
Because some people would like to pull the plug.
I like how you just asked that though, because you said, so what do you assume? Let me ask you, what have you assumed in the past? If you there's a period where you've done some marketing or whatever, and it didn't work in the first week or 2 weeks, and you've already spent some money, what is your what do you feel at that point? Like, what is your first thought that comes to your mind?
Well, so I got to be perfectly honest with you that the times that I've done it, they've been successful. So,
Okay.
and what I mean by that is in the system that you taught on last week.
Sure.
We got leads that
Yep.
we could go to the consultation.
Yep.
So I was never looking at it going, we're not getting any leads. We always got leads.
Sure.
Now, then we had to go to consultation and go,
Yep.
how's our follow-up? How's
Yep.
this, that? But I guess there are certain marketing strategies that may not see success, immediate success, I guess.
The answer to the question, and I think most people feel the pain they feel is nobody wants to buy my stuff. I'm a failure. They look internally and say, it's me. Like, I put myself out there and nobody cares about me, and nobody wants to buy what I'm selling, and nobody and that is so painful. I've been there. I can feel that. Like, if you're there, I feel you being there.
Like a sense of rejection.
It is. Yeah. And then you can't face that pain of that rejection again. So you quit. It was never the business, right? But you have to remember, if you're doing something that somebody else wants, like if you try to start a landscaping company and it didn't work, or you try to start a barber shop or a bakery or a restaurant or a coffee shop, and you thought it didn't work, and it was like, and the reason you thought it didn't work was because nobody likes you, nobody cares about you or your mission or wants to buy from you. I feel that so deeply. But the fact that if you've gone through that already, if you haven't gone through that, you can avoid that, and I'll show you how. But if you have gone through that, it's actually really good that you've gone through that, because what I'm about to tell you is you're going to realize how valuable it was that you went through that. And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and there's somewhat, I'm sure, of a ballpark figure when it comes to sales success rate.
Yes. Oh, and
it would be like 3 out of 20,
1 out of 3, 33%. Yeah.
Okay. So
that is, and that 33% is 1 out of every 3 people you make an offer to buy it. That's a good rate of conversion.
Okay.
Yep.
So in my mind, I'm thinking this too. How do you overcome that fact that literally almost 70% of the time you could be considered a failure?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep. I would say this. This is what's going to change your life. You know how you felt like when you made that Facebook post and you let everybody know about the business you're starting, and you're so excited. You've worked on it. People haven't even seen what you put into it, and you know it's going to change the world and change their lives, and then no one likes it. No one comments, and it gets no traction, and you're just like, nobody cares. I will right now unlock for you something that will change your life, and it is that nobody cares.
It's so true.
But once you know that,
it's so true.
It's so good.
It's so true.
Right?
Like, get over yourself, maybe?
Not get over yourself, because you're important, and your thing is amazing, and it does need to get to the world, but nobody does care.
How about don't take it personal?
I would say that, and this will help you to not take it personally. Check this out.
Okay.
This will help you to not take it personally. That's exactly right. Don't take it personally, because nobody does care about you and what you did.
Mm-hmm.
They care about, so you know how much you care about
what you can do for them.
They care the same about them. And if you are the person, because you know all that rejection you feel like you felt when nobody liked your post, because nobody's caring about what's important to you. If you actually build your business to care about what's important to your audience, they will actually care, because they know you're caring about them. If I say, Rich, I just started a car detailing company, and I'm trying to quit my job, and I'm trying to find clients that are willing to get on monthly subscriptions so I can detail their cars so I can make some money and quit my job. Would you like to be my first client? It's like, maybe you might help me out, but you're not doing it necessarily out of your own desire, and that won't last very long.
Wow.
But if I go out and I say, hey, Rich, I noticed that, and I'm not being mean at all, but I noticed that you're a super busy guy. And I noticed that your car, like your rims are sometimes a little bit dirty, but I know you go to meetings and stuff. And I actually started a mobile detailing business where I'll come to you when you're at work, make sure your car's clean, so you don't even have to think about that.
It's happened. Let me do it. Hey,
right.
Rich, you work a lot of hours. You're with a lot of people, and it's important for you to present yourself in a good way, and your car really looks like trash. But I know it's not your fault.
Yep.
Because you value people's time
Yep.
more than you actually do a physical. And hey, I'm going to help you out. I can come every 3 months and detail your car for you, and I'll come wherever you're at.
Yeah, you don't even have.
They don't even have to tell me the price. Like, I'm like down for that, dude.
He'll probably sign without asking the price, and I'll probably send him a bill, and he'll probably pay it happily.
Oh, yeah.
That's the difference.
Yeah,
when
good.
you obsess about their problem instead of trying to get them to obsess about your problem, that's when you actually get paid without trying.
I like that.
Yep, that's it. And so, I don't even know. We went on that tangent.
We did.
That was valuable.
We
though.
did, and I think the essence of it, and you've done a great job breaking this down. Last week was phenomenal. You need to listen to last week if you haven't. Joey did a phenomenal job on those 4 steps. But it's you're talking about investing into your business.
Yep.
Is really what you're talking about versus looking at spending for marketing.
And I think you guys are probably sitting there like, you said 20% and then you blew past it. How do you get to this 20% number, right? Let's talk about 20% for just a little bit. Maybe that can be, and maybe, yeah.
And it's rattled me a little.
Okay.
Because I think I understand putting a percentage, investing a percentage into what I have coming in, but I'm right now going, oh, that's totally not how I operate normally.
Yep.
I'm a person of faith. I like to put the seed in the ground before the harvest.
Yeah, you basically.
And I want to start to. I want to put into my marketing for my businesses what I want and what I desire.
Yeah.
Versus where I'm at.
And that's the reality. That's where things flip, is when you're not looking at what you can afford out of what you have. You're looking at what you desire, and then you do have to look at what you afford or what you can afford.
Sure.
But then your number might come a little bit higher, because if you say, I want to make 100,000, and you know it's going to take 20,000 to do that in marketing at scale, that might scare you. But let's just say a lot of businesses have 50% margin. So let's break this down. If you have a 50% margin on your net, a lot of businesses can have 50% margins, 20% margins, 30% margins. It depends on the industry you're in. But let's just, for easy math, let's just say it's a 50% margin. It's just you. You don't have a lot of overhead. You're the only employee, et cetera. So let's just say 50% margin. And I should say a lot of small businesses without overhead and that are service-based can yield a 50% margin if they're including paying themselves in that, which most people do. So let's just say it's 50% for easy math. If you have a 50% margin, that's going to be 50,000. So you're making 50K, and then you take that minus your 20K, and you're left with 30. You might say, wow, that's not enough for me to live off of. That's not enough profit, right?
Sure.
That's great. Now it's time to make more money. And because here's the beautiful thing. This number changes, but the percentage doesn't. So if you say, and most people can't do this, if you make 30K in your job, only way you can ever get more is to go back to school, and people spend all this money on school for these nominal increases. So they're already investing money just in the wrong place. But if you go to 200,000, right? Scale to 200K. Now you're still spending 20%, so that's 40, but this just doubled to 60. Right?
Right.
And now if you want to go again, you're like, nah, I'll make 400K a year. I don't know why I'm going back and forth between, 400K a year, right? Now,
120.
That just doubled to 120. So it's really up to you to determine what you want to make. Here's the other thing too.
20, that's a statement.
20% is the max. We've worked with companies that get as low as 5%.
Right.
So what if your marketing was that? I'm saying that's the high end.
Mm-hmm.
What people aim for is 10 to 12% marketing costs, or maybe even 15. But let's just say this was a 10% marketing cost, because you're thinking, I can already hear you in your head saying, man, that's a lot. It's kind of a lot, but right, are you making $100,000 in your business right now? Like, are you even making 30,000 net profit? Like, would 30,000 change your life right now on a side hustle business?
So at the very beginning, this was the aha that I would challenge everybody with. And I will, because I coach a lot of businesses and I coach a lot of young entrepreneurs that are running their own business. I will coach them. If whatever you start with, you never miss it.
Wow.
You don't miss it.
Yep.
So if your philosophy is 20% of marketing, that's how you live the rest of your life.
Yep. And
I would encourage that if you can. Like you said, if you can, if it's feasible, I would encourage that, because you're not living off it when you first start.
Here's the thing. It is feasible. Everybody can invest 20% of something.
That's true. Yeah, that's another podcast right there.
Everyone can invest 20% of something. And they will get, if they apply the principles properly, they will get the results that they want. So if you're like, man, I can't invest 20K. I'm not asking you to invest 20K. I'm asking you to invest 20%. And so you have to figure out what can I afford? If you say I can invest 2,000, that's all I can afford. You say I can invest 2,000. Okay, sweet. You can yield 10. And if you're really savvy and you really start digging in and getting that marketing cost lower, you might be able to make 15 to 20 off that 2,000 if it's a lower marketing percentage. But if that's what you can invest and that's what you can make, and what Rich just said is, if this is side hustle money, which I imagine it is, because most people can't live off of $10,000, now take your 10,000 that you made, and now that's your new 20% floor.
Yeah.
So now you can make 50,000 the next round.
It all goes back to the mindset, investment versus spending.
Investment versus spending.
Because when people think of spending marketing money versus I'm investing into it, the investment is constantly going back into your business and creating a healthier, stronger
Exactly. Because if you invested, all you can invest this year is 2,000, that's actually amazing, because 2,000 can yield you 10,000. And if you're willing to not have to live off that 10,000, don't eat your seed, which is a whole nother podcast.
Yeah.
This is seed.
Right.
Now you have $10,000 worth of seed. Now that is at a 20% is actually going to yield you 50. And if you still don't need to live off the 50, then you can take the 50. And now I don't even know what 50 is 20% of. I think it's 200,000. But if you take the 50,000 divided by 20%, it's 250,000. So that's wild. So 250,000. So in 3 years, and you've never, ever, ever put in more than $2,000 of your original seed, in 3 years, just following this principle at a 20% margin, assuming you never even get better at marketing, which you will over time, especially if you're spending this kind of money, you're going to be like, yeah, we got to be more efficient with this. In 3 years or 3 cycles of investment, which could be less than a year, maybe you invest 2,000 in, because that's the other thing, the speed. If you invest 2,000 in month one, you can, if you apply it right and you have, you have a product that people want, you could yield that 10,000 in month one. And so this doesn't have to be years. I'll just say 3 investment cycles. However soon you're going to invest that 2,000 and however long the cycle is to complete the work and get paid for it, because there is cash flow involved. And I know I'm talking, just to simplify it, $2,000 can turn into $10,000, and it doesn't have to take a year. It could take a month. It could take a week. It could take a day if you're set up to sell something in a day, and complete the project and get paid in one day. then 10,000 can turn to 50,000 because that's 20% of 50,000. Then 50,000 can turn to 250,000, which is 20%. Now let's do the math on that. So that's your gross. If let's just say you're more like most businesses and you make let's just say you're at 250 and it's just you and maybe one other person. So overhead's still pretty low, right? And you make 50% net. So you got 50% of that, which would be 125. And that turns into, so you'd take 50% of that and then minus the 50,000 that you invested, you're left with 75,000. But you're like, man, all that money's gone. Did you have this $75,000 before? No. Right. That's your return. That's your gain.
Yep.
And the cycle is as fast as you want it to be, as fast as you're willing and able to invest. That's the cycle. That's how fast that cycle can happen.
Yeah.
That's why because we've invested using this rule, that's why we've been able to scale our business in 6 months to over $1 million because we understand how to do this principle. This might be the principle in the last episode. If you watch, you're like, well, how much money do they have to put in? Don't want to put in more than 20%. That's what I'll tell you. And you want to put in as little as you possibly can.
Yeah. That's good. That's great. That's great. Love it.
Is that clear?
Oh, crystal. And I think we've given a lot of just facts and data, but also mindset and inspiration for the business owners out there watching us and the people who want to take their business to another level.
If you watch this episode and the last episode, and that's all you watch, you'll actually be able to form a really solid business plan. If you're a landscaping company, for example, and you say, I want to make $1 million. My goal is to have $1 million business. And you watch this and you're maybe a little bit discouraged because now you know you have to invest $200,000 to hit that million. I would challenge you to not be discouraged and instead watch the last episode so you can learn how to sell at the proper rate so that money's profitable. And then really watch this episode and take notes and say, okay, well, I'm already making money, so how can I set aside, what's the largest amount of money I can set aside to put, because it's not like you're putting in $200,000 all at one time to make $1 million, right? You're putting it in over time and over potentially a course of a year if that's your yearly goal. You would just say, this is my business plan. That's my marketing budget, and I'm going to take that as a percentage out of every job that I get paid on. I'm going to set a portion of it aside so I can replant it in the ground just like a wise farmer would do, and I can yield a larger harvest every time. Yeah. You're going to see, now you can actually see how you can make $1 million, where before you couldn't because you're like, how can I make $1 million if my business has never done it before and I've spent money on marketing my whole life? You haven't spent enough money on marketing. Actually, I should say this. You've spent way too much money on marketing. If you're spending money on marketing, it's always too much because you're not supposed to be spending it. You're supposed to be investing it. And you can't just invest in something foolish. The investment has to be wise. And you investing in you is actually incredibly wise because you can control that scenario. And you investing in watching this show is also incredibly wise because you're going to be able to go from where you are now to rich financially, and then from rich to wealthy, so you can enjoy the fruit of your labor. Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. You now know that marketing is not an expense, it's an investment. And you also know that you're a great investment. That's why we make these episodes, because we know that you're a great investment. We're so excited to see you thrive and go from rich to wealthy, and we'll catch you on the next episode. Stay blessed.